Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's better. All right. So what I was saying, Trudeau extends a 10-day child credit care for another 5 years. Deal struck with 11 of 13 provinces. And I saw on X that he started crying during this speech. So that's literally the only reason I'm watching this. And also, we'll see what else he says, and then I'll give my American perspective of how I feel about young Justin Trudeau leaving.
Merci Jana, merci à Marianne et les amis du Children's Village de nous accueillir ici ce matin.
Is he
Good
starting in
morning, everyone.
French?
But before I begin,
Okay.
I want to address what I know is top of mind for all Canadians.
What is that?
Yesterday, I spoke with President Trump, and
I actually heard about that. Um, Stories are coming out now that Donald Trump cussed at Justin Trudeau. I don't know if it's true, but I hope so. That would have been quite the funniness. But it kind of sucks because we'll never get to see it. And I wonder how Justin reacted after, if he was crying to the news. So we'll keep it going.
reiterated the facts. Our border is secure, and less than 1% of the illegal fentanyl entering the United States comes from Canada.
So I actually checked that, and even American statistics show that what Canada did is working, but Trump is still not happy with it, and I don't think he likes the way that Justin Trudeau is handling the whole situation. So I think most of the backlash is coming from there. Earlier, Trump mentioned that he did something. He made an exemption, or he's slowing certain things with Mexico. That's part of the USMCA. He's gonna continue because he likes what they did so far. And he had a conversation with Scheinbaum, and Scheinbaum hasn't put tariffs on America yet, or counter tariffs to Trump's tariffs. I actually haven't checked if they have any tariffs on us, but we'll see. That's for another video, I guess.
Even so, we took action with our $1.3 billion plan to further strengthen our border. I also stressed that the tariffs the U.S. administration chose to impose.
I think the conflict with the what deal he's made or what they've done on the border is Trump is asking for a more permanent solution, and I believe this one's in my opinion. I think Trump wants Trudeau to commit more money towards their defense instead of focusing on Ukraine and NATO and Europe. That's in my opinion. That's what it seems like, and I say that because I watched Trump's press conference today, and even he sounds like he wants to leave NATO. Somebody threw out a question. It was like, um, something. Were you thinking about leaving NATO? He's like, yeah, I don't know. He's like, would they come protect us if we were attacked? And I was like, can they come protect us? Is that even a possibility? We kind of just bankroll Europe's defense, and then they do whatever they want with their money. Cause we can go. We have bases there. We can get there pretty easily, but like Germany is not gonna get here quick and defend us, and it's gonna cost a lot probably. So they wouldn't even do it. I don't know. That's a confusing one.
Will hurt American workers and businesses. And that, as our shared history has proven, we should work together instead to tackle today's challenges rather than fighting one another. Canada's ministers, officials, and I will continue to engage with our American counterparts.
I hate the way Justin Trudeau talks. Like most politicians talk this way, but Justin has like he does this weird pauses. It's meant to like it's I feel like he's trying to say something intense or something for it to like land afterwards. But for Justin it's like performative. He does it every single speech, and I've only watched a couple. He does it every time, and like his demeanor is the same, and then he says some good old jolly stuff to try to pander to his base. But to me, as an American, it just sounds so greasy. It sounds so politics.
Goal remains to get these tariffs, all tariffs, removed. In the meantime, we'll be taking action to support Canadians through the tough times ahead. You can count on leadership right across the country municipalities, provinces, and indeed, your federal government. But mostly, you can continue to count on each other.
You
Canadians
see, and
have
then he
been
always
there.
throws this like same stuff too. He'll oh, the Canadian workers, we gotta step up for each other. Oh, jolly yippee ki. It's always something like that. He like he'll like pander to his base since there's like they're using this as like a massive threat, even though it's just tariffs. They tariff us already, but he's using it to like pander to his base and say, "I'm the tough guy. I'm standing up to Donald J. Trump. I'm the guy. Give me another term. I'll stay in office."
There for each other, for small businesses, for local producers, for friends. Canadians will pull together and continue to pull together with deep, deep pride in country as all of us stand together to defend Canada. En même temps de faire le nécessaire pour protéger nos travailleurs et nos entreprises, on continue notre travail pour rendre la vie plus abordable pour les familles canadiennes et notre classe moyenne. Et c'est ce qui nous rassemble ici aujourd'hui. Merci de vous joindre à Myriam, Jenna, Yasser et
I don't speak French, so this does nothing to me.
moi
I don't even
pour une
understand.
annonce qui est un peu un retour aux sources pour moi. Aider la classe moyenne et les familles qui en font partie, c'était au cœur des raisons pour lesquelles je me suis présenté pour servir les Canadiens en 2015. Je vais
Next.
continuer, ministre.
Next.
Des centaines de milliers
Look at
d'enfants.
Look at the lady in the back. She's so like, I don't know who that is, so I can't really judge her. But she just like, it looks like fake, like for the camera. Like, wow, good job, Justin. I'm so proud of you, Justin. Oh my god. And then this lady back here with her hair and like a little onion, no emotions.
Et de familles de la pauvreté. Les enfants étaient une des priorités dans notre régime canadien à avoir scolaire
All right, skip forward a little
auquel
bit.
2015 semble ici aujourd'hui. Now, since 2015, my focus, our focus has been on stepping up for Canadian families.
Honestly, from what I hear, Justin Trudeau has done nothing but ruin Canada for Canadians. Because when I think about it, all this green initiative, all this like globalist shit has happened under him anyways, right? From what I've heard from the Canadians, the previous prime minister, I'm forgetting his name. I'm forgetting his name, but everybody liked him. He was like a popular guy. This guy, he's ruined Canada, and then he just uses media or his political jargon. We'll continue, but he just does like so many weird things.
And the middle class. We've done it.
He's doing great. Like, he's extending $10 a day childcare for another 5 years, because his policies have made it so affordable to live in Canada, right? That this 10-day child policy thing is needed in the first place. The goal should have been, hey, we're getting rid of the $10 a day childcare because we got rid of our BS green strategy for economics. We opened up a pipeline. Energy's cheaper. We're selling more, so we don't need this anymore. There's more jobs coming in. Companies are happy because they don't have to pay green energy. I mean, like,
with middle class tax cuts, with the Canada Child Benefit that has lifted hundreds of thousands of kids out of poverty, the school food program, dental care, and child care. Child care being the reason we're gathered here today. For decades in this country,
when is he gonna cry? I want to see him drop a little tear.
People have been talking about creating a national child care system. And to be fair, sometimes governments got close, but it just never got done. Then in 2020, the pandemic showed everyone what many parents, advocates,
He always does this. Whenever there's a tricky subject, he'll bring it back to green energy or something where his side is winning on. And that's what he'll focus on and pander to the base. Like, good hardworking Canadians deserve cheap homes, but we won't help out. We'll just make it worse.
and smart economists already knew, childcare is not a luxury, it's a necessity. It's not just a nice-to-have social program, it's a foundational building block of a strong economy. So we worked like hell with provinces, territories, and providers.
Dude, this guy is literally out here bragging that he extended a policy that had to be in place because it's so unaffordable to live in Canada, and he's claiming he's doing something for people because he's extending this. Insane.
Drawing on the successful experience of 25 years in Quebec to make it a reality right across the country. And it wasn't a moment too soon. In recent years, our program
You hear it? You see? That pause. And then it goes, in recent years.
Supported families through a cost of living crisis, and it even helped avoid a recession. Families were able to save thousands of dollars on childcare, just as global inflation.
Yeah, whatever. Though. I don't care about this. I just want to see him cry. I'm still waiting for that.
Hard. It's been and continues to be a game changer for so many of them.
Whose kid is that in the back?
Now, when we first committed to Canada-wide
Give us
early
your
learning
children.
and childcare,
We know what's
we
best.
said
Quebec
we
can
would
afford
cut
it because
fees
Alberta afford
quickly
it.
and create 250,000 $10.
Yeah, I watched the Alberta. I forgot what her name was. Danielle something, whatever her name was. People are hating on her too, though, but she's in the province that is gonna send someone here to talk about what they have to do to become a state or something. I don't know. You tell me, Photo. You're from Canada.
For a day childcare spaces, we heard a lot of naysayers. But today, it's hard for those folks to deny the facts. As of this year, 150,000 new affordable spaces have been created or funded, and we are on track to reach our goal of creating 100,000 more.
They create 100,000 houses, but then they put even more people down in the poverty line. So it's like they'll fix the problem for some people, but then during that time, they'll ruin another citizen. I don't know how to explain it. Like, their policies are still ruining people's lives, making it harder to live.
By this time next year. Today, families are saving thousands of dollars thanks to this program. Per child, per year, savings can reach $6,000 in Nova Scotia, over 10.
Hey, but honestly, if there was a policy like that here, that would be very beneficial. So I can't hate like too hard, because over here, in America, it's insanely expensive. Insanely expensive. Daniela Smith, yeah. You know what's crazy about her Photo? I actually liked her speech because she sounded reasonable. Like, even compared to Pierre, I was like, she doesn't sound like she's going crazy. She's just laying out her facts. But then when I went to read the comments under the YouTube, and everybody was going crazy, I was like, what happened? I thought she sounded normal. Exactly. That I didn't mention that too. You'll create 100,000 homes for the people that are already in poverty, right? And then while you're doing that, more people will be impoverished. So you'll need house for them. And not only that, but now you bring in the immigrants. I know you guys have that problem too. So it's like, bro, you'll try to score the political win on one subject. Can you guys even hear me? Like, he'll do good on like one topic, right? You would think it's helping people, but then there's 10 other things that the policies he has that completely ruins everything else. So what's the point? He just uses that like as a win to get his base on his side, but realistically, he doesn't give a shit.
$10,000 in Ontario and over $13,000 in Alberta per child.
Per child.
See, this is great news, not only for parents, not only for kids.
Look at this fake ass performative. Not only for kids,
but for our entire
we are
economy.
short on homes. It's just affordable homes, but homes in
parents,
total.
Especially mothers, can
there's a shortage here too.
choose to fully participate.
You guys, I'm sure it's like us. There's so many regulations and there's just too much bureaucracy, If the bureaucracy was removed, I feel like building would be cheaper.
In our workforce.
And then for us, check this out, photo, check this out. So for us, we have those green climate, well, not anymore, Trump's here. But before we had people who wouldn't let us cut our own lumber, right? And then we would have to import from like Canada or other places, and you guys charge us 25% plus tariffs for lumber. So that makes it more expensive for us to build our houses here. Now that Trump's going to cut all the green regulations and take the bureaucracy out of it, it's going to lower our lumber price. And then because of the lower lumber price, houses are going to be cheaper, right? Makes sense.
Because they don't have to decide between their career and their children.
Damn, a few million?
It helped reduce the gender wage gap, child poverty,
farther
and
behind.
inequality. In 2015...
Yeah, exactly. It's such a dumb idea. Like, in essence, like, I get it. If you weren't bringing people in, if it was closed, and if you're doing better for people to get them out of poverty, I'm like, yeah, dude, that's perfect. 100,000 houses, you know? Get a little start, take more people out of poverty so they can afford more expensive houses, right? And then it would kind of equalize, right? You build the houses, you bring down living expensive, you raise revenue. It's perfect. But he's putting this little band-aid on something, and then while also doing 10 other things that are bringing down the economy.
We're earning
that sounded crazy.
Cents on the dollar.
A bunch
Today,
of word
that's
salad.
Up to
but
88 cents. Still not good enough, but climbing. In 2015, over 60%.
How bad is your immigration over there?
Lived in poverty. Today,
I know you guys have like
10%.
I don't want to say it.
Again, still not enough, but it is significant progress.
Yeah, but even refugees, I have like a specific like mindset about that. Like if you're like a refugee that's going away from war, right? I feel like once the war is over, you should go back though. Cause that's why, like, I mean, I get it. I guess you'd want to stay in Canada. Canada's a peaceful place, but wouldn't that kind of be abusing the system too? You're coming as what do they call them? They're seeking asylum, right? I think that's what you're referring to. You come to seek asylum from the war, but then when the war ends, everything's back to normal. Like,
not just led to better outcomes for individuals and better quality of life for people, but it's led to better economic growth for entire country.
Better economic growth for our country.
Childcare is a matter of fairness. It strengthens our economy, makes it more resilient, and that's never been as important as it is right now. Now we can be proud of the progress we've seen since 2021.
Like, where do they come from? What's their reason? Like economic refugees, where it's better economics in your home, you know?
But I think all Canadians know that we can't take that progress for granted. As Jenna mentioned, Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party of Canada never believed in childcare. They always
we have almost
voted
as many illegal
no
way. No, that's dude. Latest reports are we have about 20 million illegal aliens, illegal migrants, sedentary 20 million in America. That's like half your population. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Economic. It's like, it's just a weird thing to me, right? Like, I get it. You're trying to leave your home, but it's like, oh, not real. Okay. Yeah. They're like, I can't find work at home. It's like, dog, you come here, you take all our work though. So then we're going to become like wherever they're coming from, when the real onus should be on the countries they're coming from to fix their shit, right? So no one has to leave their country anyways. If governments took care of their citizens, they wouldn't want to leave, right?
Every opportunity. In fact, they voted against each and every one of the measures to help Canadian families in the middle class that I just listed. Now, right now, we have a Canada-wide childcare program that is off to a phenomenal start.
I can't believe they held a 50-minute conference just to say that they're extending what they already had for 5 years. I feel like this is more of a, like, you know, put out a little email or something.
But the 5-year agreements we first signed with the provinces and territories are expiring next March. And that's a source of concern for providers, for parents, and for provinces. People are worried about what will happen next year.
We have 4 million foreign students in Canada. They don't want to leave after. Yeah, I heard about that. There's like that's a problem where they don't want to leave, but Justin Trudeau and the government isn't enforcing it, so they're in like this limbo. They just stay in Canada, right? It's so weird. Like, go, bro, go. Like, you came to be a student. You're not a student anymore. There should be consequences to these things, or else everyone will take advantage of the whole system, aka America.
I think of a family I met. It was kids 3 years old in childcare. They're worried that suddenly their costs are going to go up from $10 back to $40, $50 a day. They can't handle that in this economy.
Whose fault is that,
I
Justin?
think about young families that I meet that are excited
Not
about starting a
Trump's.
family,
That's your fault,
but
Justin.
worried that they might have missed the window on childcare. That a change in government could mean, nope, $10 a day childcare was a blip that helped
Hey, Photo, how did you feel about Pierre Poilievre's response?
a few, but won't be there for them into the future.
I was offended. He said he's not MAGA.
We simply cannot go back to making families pay the equivalent of a monthly mortgage payment for childcare.
Oh yeah,
I think
40
we all
times
understand
30. Yeah, that would be a
building
mortgage payment for
Canada-wide
sure.
childcare system that will stand
Justin
the
told them
test
they
of
could apply for a permanent residency after completing school. Yeah, see, that's weird to me. Like you bring them in, right? They go to your school. Don't you think they should have like some debt to pay you instead of just automatic citizenship? That's why I like Trump's idea. Like, if you want to come in, you can get a gold card, like instant. You can come in as a student, whatever. There's a pathway for citizenship, but it'll cost you $5 million. And that's beautiful to me. Because we let in 20 million people, right? Not that you would let in 20 million people with $5 million, but just say 10 million you let in and they had $5 million. Doubt it, but just numbers. That would be $50 trillion. We would have paid off our debt. Plus, we would have had like 14 trillion left in our sovereign wealth fund. Imagine what 14 trillion could do for America right now. All our roads would be built. We would have bridges, probably like new buildings, no income tax. That's why Trump is so anal about this stuff, like the fixing our trade agreements and tariffs, because he sees that 36 trillion and he's like, if we could just start wiping off this debt, like knocking it down, life slowly gets cheaper and better, because our debt payments, the interest on our debt payments is taking in so much of our GDP. So it doesn't make sense. We're going to go bankrupt at this pace. And it's kind of the same for Canada. Not that you guys have as much debt, but your guys' debt has gotten worse over the past 4 years. I remember the Chrystia Freeland scandal where she wouldn't tell Pierre how much the debt is, the deficit, and then she resigned on literally the day she was supposed to release it.
Will take
That's
more
responsible.
than just a couple of years. We are building an entire system almost from scratch.
I know.
In the sense that
but Pierre isn't supposed to be MAGA. That's my thing. Like, I wouldn't even want Pierre to be MAGA. Like, if he was MAGA, I'd be like, that's sus. Why is he supporting Trump as a Canadian leader? Yeah, boost the economy. Yeah, that's why I was like, I find weird. Like, you get it. You're pretty awake, but all the liberal leadership is using this Trump tariff thing to paint him as the bad guy, when under their leadership, like, Canada's living quality of life has gone down, right? So, and then when you look past that, it's like, well, Canada also puts tariffs on a bunch of our stuff. Milk, dairy, like cheese, 268% or something. Lumber, 25%. Tobacco, 100%. So when you think about it, it's like, we're just doing what you guys do to us, right? And there's also quotas. Like, American companies can't sell over a certain amount in Canada, because if they do, then it ruins the market, right? Anti-competitiveness to protect the market, which I get. You got to protect your market. But then why now is Trump villainized when he's trying to protect the American market, right? That's why I hate the way politicians speak to what I was saying earlier. Like, it's never facts. It's always they change the way they talk, what they say. There's like a bias in there to get you to think a certain way, but with your heart, like emotionally. So it's really weird. I hate it.
Nation, the impact varies
Yeah.
widely from region to region, from province to province.
Same. I agree with that on Pierre too. They can't they can't in public seem like they're friends or close, but then realistically, the stuff Pierre wants aligns with what Trump wants, and their visions don't coincide with each other, right? Of course, there'll have to be some negotiations on trade, but as far as everything else, like border security, Pierre is so anal about that too. Cutting expenses. I'm pretty sure. Has Pierre talked about cutting the federal government?
So creating a national expectation that wherever you are, wherever you're
Your
raising
milk
your
standards
family
are
in this
different.
country, you can rely
I'm sure it's
on the
higher.
support that affordable
I'm sure the standards are
quality
higher.
childhood will give you.
American standards are messed up. Just look at our food. What RFK's been talking about. We have like a bunch of shit in our food. It's not good for us. Even like Skittles, it's banned in Europe, but in America, it's okay. Hey, okay.
You is one of those things that is nation building. Young families and our early childhood educators and providers need reliable, long-term funding to plan for the future, to plan for Canada's future.
How you gonna do that?
I've made sure that every single day in this office,
You
I
guys
put
make it
Canadians
cheaper, and we
first,
are
that
tariffed
I
like
have people's
crazy.
backs.
Yeah, that's honestly, photo. That's the tough part about the whole tariff trade war. It's like I don't know. There's differences. Like there's differences between countries, the way countries make things, policies. So that's why this is such a crazy moment too. Like no other time in history has there been a tariff war between Canada and America. That's crazy.
And that's why I'm here to tell you all,
Yeah.
we got you.
Yeah, that too. Like the whole relying on America for 70, I think it's 70% of trade. That's kind of dangerous. Like if you guys prior say Justin Trudeau didn't rely on that, and he diversified who you guys do trade with, dude, this problem would not even exist. Imagine if like only 10% of Canadian exports went to the U.S. Not saying that's realistic, but if there wasn't so much reliance on the U.S. Trade, this wouldn't affect Canada at all, really. So I think that's the problem. That's why Trump is so anal about that too. The economy relies on America, and then for defense, because Canada has America, NATO, whatever neighbors, they put no priority into defending their own borders. So that's why Trump is planning to leave NATO. If you ask me, that's what it seems like. That's why all this is also happening. And he just wants to leave Canada a little more prepared for once we leave, becoming a sovereign nation once again. We were subverted by globalists.
We will not let Canadians down today
Yeah,
and long into the future.
exactly. That's my point. Like, the Canadian leaders complain that Trump is levying these tariffs, but like you said, when you look into it, Canada tariffs us more, and that's the whole point of Trump. Like, cut us a fair deal, cut all the tariffs, right? And then we'll cut our tariffs. But no, you gotta paint Trump as the bad guy always.
Because in the past few weeks, we've been working with our provincial and territorial partners to make sure that families can rely on this system, not just for years to
Yeah,
come, but
I think that's a problem too. Because you guys don't trade freely with each other, I feel like each state is kind of like fighting for themselves, right? Say the east to west pipeline, right? I know one of the provinces is against it because they're really green friendly. It's not like they're an oil province. So they interfere with Alberta, I think, getting the pipeline done. So it's weird that even the federal government, I guess, maybe you tell me, Photo, the federal government doesn't even have the power to get something like that done that would benefit the entire nation. It's weird. It's like tying your legs together trying to win a race.
will allow this system to lock in,
Lock in,
to
boys.
become something that no government A year from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now.
Yeah, I I heard rumors that Pierre is a globalist because I do see his Ukraine stance. That's kind of weird to me, but everything else he says is good.
Could ever go back on. And it's hard to do because there is nothing one government can't do that can't be undone by the following government.
Unless you keep me, Justin Trudeau, in charge forever.
Very clear on the need.
Quebec doesn't want a pipeline because they are green and they dump raw sewage into the St. Lawrence River. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They just do whatever benefits them. I dare to say they even sabotage other provinces. It is really weird to me. You would think everyone would be working together, right? Nope. But here, check this out. It gets a layer deeper than that, right? So say for the leaders of Quebec, since they're so heavily green, if they do agree to do this pipeline deal, wouldn't that mean their political careers would end because they're no longer championing the ideas that they used to want to win their elections in the first place? So I feel like the base would go crazy for that. They would hate him. They would get kicked out. It's so complicated.
To keep this going.
For the
So
Ukraine
we are
defense,
gonna
I
make
get
sure
why you don't want to keep spending.
That more Canadians.
Yeah, I mean, you guys might feel different about it, but for me, it's like, in the first place, I never really cared about NATO because it really doesn't do anything, right? They always say America is impenetrable. We take care of everyone, strongest army, right? So I'm like, why are we even spending so much on Europe? Who cares? And then this war starts, and I didn't know Zelensky before, but then he comes into I forgot where it came, but he was with Nancy Pelosi. He's like parading this flag around, and that pissed me off. I'm like, dude, we're in America. Why are you parading a Ukrainian flag? Like, you're not even part of NATO. And then past that, he abused Biden, took a bunch of money from him. For the past 4 years, all I've been seeing on X is, oh, another 10 billion to Ukraine, another this many billion to Ukraine, another this many billion. And during that time, there was fires happening, there's hurricanes happening, bunch of shit happening. Nobody got anything. Hawaiian fires, everybody got $700, right? So you see that, and then Trump wins, and Zelensky comes in, and then whatever happened, you can disagree, but as an American, I didn't like the way he was acting. He was very entitled, in our capital. So just the sentiment behind Zelensky, for me, I hate him. I hate everything he stands for. And yeah. Plus, I did see the videos of how they're treating the soldiers. They just drag him off the streets, throw him in a bus. They're like, go fight. While Zelensky's at home with his drugs and stuff, Allegedly.
Years. Understand that childcare is a foundational building block of what it means.
Yeah, see, check this out. Yeah, Canada is a smaller nation, right? But for America, like, you would think Canada would do what they can to appease America, right? Right? So now you get to the point where it's like, well, the Canadian government, not only are they being ungrateful, but when we try to protect ourselves, now they're attacking even more, right? The rhetoric gets crazy. Everything gets crazier. So it's like, we would want to protect you, but come on now. You got to treat us better than that.
Canadian. Like health.
Yeah, that too. Europe
programs.
relies on Russia for gas. So it's like,
Cheering at a Canadian.
and also what makes me even more mad about this situation is that there's a clear out now. Trump is here. Trump is taking the blame for wanting peace. Like, if Europe wanted to jump on board and get out of this mess of a war and make a deal with Russia and say, all right, let's continue like supply us with oil so that their manufacturing hub can increase because they're kind of in a recession since they're an industrial economy. So it's like, you have an out to get out of the war. You have an out to work with Russia again, Nord Stream 2. I know that one of them was blown up, right? And they still refuse to do it. So that's another layer on top of why Zelensky's annoying. It's like, there's a clear out. Peace would benefit everybody. Why do we keep going? Why do you want to keep going?
Today,
But you know what it is, in my opinion? They don't want to look like they lost to Putin. That's really the heart of this.
We have great news to share. We've reached a deal with 11 of 13 provinces and territories to extend current early learning and childcare agreements until March 2031.
He says such happy things, like it should be good news, and he's using his dramatic voice. 2031. Very nice.
Not only are we extending current agreements, we're also increasing the funding that these agreements provide by 3% per year to help provinces and territories deal.
Okay, so check this out. Now, the good thing he's doing, he's saying it's gonna cost even more. They're gonna spend even more money from the federal side, right? Wouldn't that cause more inflation, more government spend? Yeah.
With costs that we know will rise over the coming years.
Because of
It
you.
includes funding for 35,000 affordable spaces across nearly 1,000 Indigenous early learning and childcare sites, including more than 10 new centres in Métis communities, with more to be created in the next 2 years. And on childcare, we're also stepping up directly in federal jurisdiction by making sure that military families have the childcare supports they need. In recent years, I've had the honor of meeting.
Why couldn't he just say he's helping everybody? He has to throw like every specific group in there. We're helping the military. We're helping the Indigenous. We're helping the one with 3 moms. We're helping the one that's parents are dogs and they identify as dogs, but they're actually parents. Crazy.
Many of the men and women in our armed forces, and childcare
Can't do basic math.
is a concern that I repeatedly.
Listen, the balance will just the budget will balance itself.
Canadian
Don't
armed
worry.
forces protect Canadians and our freedoms every single day, both abroad and at home. They and their families sacrifice much to serve Canada and Canadians.
He had to throw the military in there because that's what Trump's complaining about.
Should have reliable, affordable access to quality childcare. That's why we're working with not-for-profit childcare providers to expand near bases and creating opportunities for scholarships for interested CAF family members to train and
Dude, Pierre Poilievre said that. I remember hearing that in his speech. He's like, he said it more motivationally and inspirationally, but it's the same thing. He's like, what if we had these new bases built up in the north and we could have the young cadets go up there with them and just get a taste of what it's like. So in the future, you know, literally it's the same thing. And I think they're being blamed for that, right? They just steal Pierre's like policies. That's the typical globalist thing. They don't care about humans, right? It's all about the global numbers. You're an interchangeable cog to them. You're not a person. You're a number.
As early childhood educators. We're also creating a network of childcare coordinators to help families as they move from base to base quickly connect to local childcare resources. By doing so, we're also encouraging more Canadians to join our armed forces because they'll know that they can raise a family and defend and serve our country.
Oh wait, I'm gonna go grab
all
my
at the same
charger real
time
quick.
That we see the needs
My
to support
1%.
military families. Now, your federal Liberal government got it done. But Liberal, Progressive Conservative, and NDP provincial governments are all a part of today's agreement. And that is great. That is as it must
Crisis
be.
averted.
Because helping
Unlike
families,
Justin.
helping the middle class, that's not just a Liberal priority, that's a Canadian priority.
Headphones.
All parties, all governments must press forward until there is an affordable childcare space for every family that wants them long into the future.
Did he cry? Did I miss the cry?
And if we persist, a few years from now, Canadians will rightly view childcare as one of the foundational pillars of our economy, of our society. And I know that decades from now, future generations will benefit hugely from the choices we all made together today, as it should be.
This is the choices. I am Batman. These are the choices we all made today. And we're gonna think about them for a long time and thank Justin Trudeau.
Merci beaucoup, mes amis. Thank you.
Trudeau lowered military spending? Okay. Let's see. While he lowered the military spending, what did he spend it on instead? What did he spend it on instead? Green BS, Ukraine. Where did it go?
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. We will now begin the question period. One question.
Oh, yes. The questions are the best. I hate hearing people's like prepared like, because you know Justin goes in the mirror every morning to prepare his speeches. He's like, yeah, dude, that face is good. It's good. Let me try it again. So when the reporters ask questions, it throws them off guard. It's more entertaining.
Follow-up. First question goes to David Aiken, Global News.
Dude, you're right. He is a drama teacher. Was. Because allegedly something happened, right? Oh, somebody had an affair. And then he's a trust fund baby too, right? Yeah, green slush fund, see? Literally, the reason why governments and economies go bad lately, the past 5 years, it's all for the green BS. Look at Germany. They're like, no more nuclear energy, no more gas. We're going to be using wind turbines. We have to be net zero, whatever the fuck that means.
Good morning, Prime Minister.
Good morning, Gavin.
I'd like to hear
Good
more
morning.
about that phone call with the President.
Oh, yes,
today.
this is what I'm here
I wonder
for.
if you can describe the tone, the tenor, the scope. I understand.
How did my
profanity
president treat you,
diverged in
Justin?
that call.
Was it
Maybe you can
welcoming?
Explain the context in which that happened. Can you give us some color on that phone?
I can confirm that it was a colorful call.
Yeah, he cussed at him.
And it was also a very substantive call. We talked about a range of
Yeah,
issues.
you know what it is too? Justin is gonna try to spin it, make himself look like this powerful guy. He's getting negotiations done. You know, he's like, yeah. And then literally Trump is here just trolling the guy. He's literally trolling the guy on Twitter. Both sides, they spin it differently, right? I guess it's somewhere in the middle.
Of course, primarily the trade war that they have chosen to unjustly launch on Canada. But there is also a recognition that
Unjustly,
our two
huh?
countries are deeply interwoven, not just in our economy, but
Check this out. Our economies are deeply interwoven. Well, actually, yeah, because Trump made an exception today because one of the car manufacturers said, yo, it's going to fuck us up.
in our people-to-people ties and our history.
Can I cuss on
And
here?
we should be able to continue to do big things together as we have over many years.
Hey, Photo, you want to take this further? So you said that it goes to the green slush fund. What does it mean? Like, what did they spend on with the slush fund? Now it gets interesting. Green slush fund, yes, but where does the money go? What do they spend it for? Maybe that's the money when they're sending to India for their what is it called? Environmental impact stuff.
In the past, first and foremost, by negotiating and signing an
Or it's going to
extraordinarily
Justin's family and his
successful,
friends and his donors.
USMCA CUSMA deal. But that there's more to do, and we committed to continue to work together constructively.
More like I agreed to capitulate to Trump because he has more leverage in this situation. And my shut up. See, at least if Canada becomes America, you guys don't have to speak French anymore.
On the other side, thought it important enough to note that profanity, that it was a heated exchange.
That's why he
to
stopped
tell
our
a
parliament to
reporter at the
prevent
Wall Street
documents from
Journal,
becoming
we're in the
public.
business, we know these things
Is that what was being like brought up prior to the prorogue? Because I'm pretty sure that's why Mark Carney is really intent on winning too. Because if Pierre wins, they have no control over who sees what. And I am sure they will get exposed if Pierre gets in.
get out their backs, and if there was a purpose, I assume, that the American side had. So can we get a sense of where did it become heated? Is it he doesn't accept the facts of the case? Tell us.
You hear that? You hear that slanted reporting? He doesn't accept the facts of the case.
I'm not going to get into it in details, but there were
Trump would
different
destroy you.
sections of the conversation in which different approaches and tones. But I've been having conversations and working with Donald for over 8 years now, and
he's been dealing with you for
a lot
9
of it
years
is
because he had no
rolling
other
with it.
option.
A lot of it is figuring out how to move forward.
How? Like he talks to a leader of a state and he claims like, oh, we've been working together. Like, of course, we're fucking neighbors. You're not gonna not work with the neighbor's president. You're gonna come work with like Governor Newsom or something instead. I don't know how he brags about this stuff. It sounds stupid.
Forward constructively despite certain unpredictabilities that often come in, and remembering to stay steady no matter
See,
what.
that's why I have hope for Pierre. I hear these rumors, but then I like listen to what he's saying and what he wants to do. And I'm like, of course they would try to smear his name, because if he wins, he's exposing the whole system. Not even just the leaders, like, because it's happening in America too. Imagine what kind of government levers there are that had to be corrupted in order for Justin Trudeau and all these other leaders to get money from the slush fund, whatever other corruption they do, right? There's had to been like 10 steps before that before they could do it. So those people need to get exposed too. I would argue that's probably the most dangerous part.
What? And that is the approach I've always taken. A firmness around standing up for Canadians, but an understanding that we can and should be working together to create benefits on both sides of the border, because that's how we benefit the most. Our two countries do best when we're working together, and that is what I will continue to advocate for.
Next question.
Good morning, Prime Minister. Ashley Burke, CBC News. After that call with the president yesterday, do you have any sense of what he's doing and if these tariffs can be dropped?
We are
Let's see how he spins this one.
actively engaged in ongoing conversations about trying to make sure that these tariffs don't overly harm, certainly in the short term, certain sectors.
You know what's funny? He's talking about like mitigating this disaster, but there's another round of tariffs coming on the 2nd, and those are reciprocal. So imagine 200% tariffs coming back at you guys.
Or
That's effed.
indeed
That'll destroy Canada.
Canadian and American workers.
That's the thing too. Why I keep saying Trump has more leverage, because as it stands, Canada is already tariffing us more, right? So not only that, Justin wanted to look tough, so he slapped counter tariffs. Trump said he already he would double the tariffs, put it at 50%. And there's another round of tariffs coming on the 2nd, which is reciprocal tariffs. So that's everything else that's at an imbalance. So imagine then, try mitigating 2-3 disasters like that. It's only going to get worse unless Justin capitulates. That's how I see it.
Not going to get into it too much, because there are ongoing conversations and we don't yet have anything to officially announce. But I will say the focus we have right now is on reducing the impacts of the tariffs. I can confirm that we will continue to be in a trade war that was launched by the United States for the foreseeable future. So Canadians should continue to buy Canadian.
Hey, Photo, have you seen any effects in Canada yet? Besides getting rid of the alcohol and the stocks? For us, over here, mainly it's just been the stock market so far.
Continue to stand up for each other, but we are trying to reduce the areas and the impact.
He has to capitulate. He has to. Like I said, Trump has more leverage. Like, the more Justin attacks Trump without addressing the real problem, which is the trade the tariffs, trade deficit, Trump's just gonna keep applying more pressure, more pressure, more pressure, more pressure, and it's just gonna affect you guys more. That's why he doesn't care about you guys. Even if he cared about you guys, and he really wanted to play this game, right? If he really wanted to play this trade tariff war game with Trump, why wouldn't he cut taxes? Why wouldn't he cut the carbon tax, right? That's what Trump is doing. He's like, we're cutting social security tax. Hey, they're even like throwing out there getting rid of the IRS, right? He's like, we're gonna start drilling. It's gonna be expensive now, but we're starting to drill. We're gonna put more pipelines. We're putting one in Alaska. Japan is investing. We're gonna make energy cheaper, right? So then even whatever we feel from this, it's gonna be lessened over time. And that's what I'm saying. Like, Canada, on the other hand, Justin Trudeau, they want to still donate to NATO. Ukraine. Still want to continue their green policies. still want to fight back, won't cut carbon tax. It's like they're not doing anything right. They're not doing anything right. If you could counterbalance the game you're playing with cutting the cost for Canadians and making it easier for businesses to stay there and not leave, you would do a lot more. So I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Impact that these tariffs that the
Yes,
Americans
Pierre.
are bringing in will.
Well, I don't want Justin to capitulate. Like I said, Pierre would work with Trump. Read the rest of my comment. I want him gone. Period. Justin needs to go. Carbon tax is bull. Pay the government a tax if you drive to work, and it will magically lower carbon emissions, even though they are going up. I'm not gonna lie. I would say get rid of all that. Like, think about it. Before they put this carbon tax, and even before the whole carbon mindset came up, right? America was fine. They said the coastline was going to rise. I live near the coast. It hasn't risen ever in my life. The comment is missing. It's all good. We'll wait for it to come. We'll listen to Justin.
Canadian workers, but Canada will continue to stand firm and unequivocal that as long as there are tariffs on us from the United States that are completely unjustified, we will be responding strongly. But there is more to say as these conversations continue.
Do you think they can be dropped? And then also when it comes to this announcement today, how important is it to you that these bigger programs that you've designed stay in place after you leave?
First of all, our priority
lose the carbon
is
tax.
to continue
The carbon tax is stupid.
to work very, very hard every day to get these tariffs to be
You know,
dropped.
even if they wanted to put a carbon tax, like I feel like businesses do a lot more polluting than any individual person could do ever. So I still don't know why it would be towards the consumer, right? Like the citizens. But then I think about it, I'm like, even if they were to just charge, say, businesses for their carbon, that would ultimately get pushed to customers because someone has to eat the cost, right? And then when I think it through like that, at the end of the day, any form of green policy is just an opportunity lost to spend it on something else. Oh, here's another thing I thought about. I don't know what the answer to this. Maybe you guys can tell me. But say we do get money to fix like carbon or whatever emissions. What do they do with that money to fix the carbon emissions, you know? Like, do they shoot fresh oxygen into the air or something? Like, what do they really even do with the money?
There should be no tariffs between Canada and the United States, not just because we have a free trade agreement that says there should be no tariffs between us, but because it is good for the Canadian economy and the American economy. It is good for Americans and Canadians for us to be working together on big things, particularly in an uncertain world. So the goal is get these tariffs off. Now, the Americans are continuing to look at
Exactly. The money disappears. So it makes you wonder, you know, it's like, do you think Justin Trudeau gives a shit about how much he's polluting? I'm sure he takes planes, a lot of planes. You think he cares? No, that's just his political side. And then, like you're saying, they launder the money most of the time. So it's just, even the reason it's there for them is to launder money. So I'm like, it's not even like, I'm like, this doesn't even exist. It's just a good story for people to agree to pay a tax and not revolt. Yeah. It's like taxes. At first in America, taxes weren't supposed to be permanent, but that just starts it off. First they do that, then you get used to it, then some random shit comes up. And they're like, sorry, war, we have to raise it. They raise your taxes, then it keeps rising. The only time I've ever, well, actually, I'm not that old, so I don't know. But under Trump is the only time I saw taxes go down.
different steps, including
Brenda Clark,
early April,
actor, a bad one at
marker
that.
of,
Are you talking about Justine?
larger commercial and trade reflections, not just with
So I agree
Canada,
if it's
but with the
Justine.
world, and that is very much something that we are working towards as well. But our focus is on ending this trade war, and until we do, we will continue to stay strong for Canadians, and Canadians will continue to stay strong with each other.
Elbows out, Canada.
In regards
Elbows
to
out.
this announcement today,
Imagine being a greenhouse farm
so
and
much
getting,
of what
money
I've
for carbon.
focused on over the past.
Exactly what you're saying, right? So we already figured out that that stupid money that they collect goes to nothing, just disappears into thin air. So you're literally harming your farmers just to launder money, allegedly. That makes sense. Yeah, Brenda, you were talking about Justine. Yeah, he's a... You know, in another world, Justin Trudeau could have been one of the best drama teachers of all time, but he chose to ruin Canada instead.
Number of years has been focused on longer term impacts. And perhaps, perhaps it's the example of having heard all my life about a small handful of things that my father was able to do as Prime Minister.
I grew up in a middle class family. Something from my older days. Castro taught me. No. What's the conspiracy? Who his dad is? Castro or something? Yeah, Fidel Castro.
Minister that continue to have an impact in people's lives today, 30, 40, 50 years later. I think of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. I think of official bilingualism and official languages act. I think of multiculturalism and a few other things that really shaped Canada. So even...
Yeah, it's controversial, but yeah, Castro. I've listened to like Alex Jones about that or something. And he had an argument that like carbon is good for our environment and this whole thing is just a hoax. I don't know if I believe that far, but just a theory.
As
Castro.
we were doing things to make an impact in the
Fidelito right here.
immediate,
This is
to help
Fidelito.
Canadians, to drop their childcare fees to $10 a day, for example.
You know what would look good on Justin though? Like the Austrian painter's mustache. Look good on him.
To step up on
He has the
dental
face
care,
for
to
it.
deliver a Canada Child benefit that has had a huge impact from coast to coast to coast over the past decade. The thinking has always been not just how does this do well right now and help us in a short term politically or have a political impact short term.
He just admitted it. It's not the whole thing, but how does this help us politically?
How does this change Canada for the better in resilient ways long into the future?
This does not help Canada in any resilient way. Any resilient way. This just makes it worse. Like we talked about. The real solution would be to fix your economy so that more people aren't in poverty and need $10 a day child credit. Realistically.
Having $10 a day child care right across the country for decades and generations.
Hey, imagine something. Imagine if like the family was making so much money that they didn't even need childcare. Imagine that. That would be nice, right? Like the olden days, you know? I always hear about the olden days, you know, back in my day, grandma didn't have to work. I worked at the liquor store. We made enough for a brand new car and everything.
Generations to come.
What happened? You know what happened.
Will have an impact, yes, on immediate affordability for families. But think of the kids that were able to go to quality early learning and child care and get that best start when they show up in grade 1.
I'm glad at least like the politicians are crazy, but most people in every country kind of agree, like, yo, just lower taxes, let our businesses flourish. Can we have a good life? Like, why does it have to be this way?
Impact will carry them through their lives, particularly as more and more studies have shown that those crucial early years shape a young person and eventually an adult's life.
All right, here, let's do an experiment. I don't think anyone will answer, but 7 people in here How many of you would like higher taxes, and how many of you would like lower taxes?
Think about the choices that we can make as we look at a strained labor market that has more women, because let's talk
There we
about
go.
moms.
You gotta include more women, so the women will vote for you too. You know, they gotta say this guy is fair.
Those are the people who are most squeezed in terms of child bearing. To be able
Why, Justin? Why? Whose policies made it that way?
to have,
You know, because the tariffs just started like a couple days ago, right? But Canada's been on a downward spiral for a little bit now. Trump just got in. Why?
confidence and the full
Raise
choice
taxes,
to
obviously.
stay at home or to advance their career. That changes, not just right now, but it changes for years to come.
Brenda, what would you like to see different in your government spending? Is it the green stuff, or is something else? Does something else tick you off about government spending?
So the focus that I certainly have in these my last days is making sure that some of those things that we have done that will shape the country for the long term are seen and relied upon by Canadians now and into the coming years, so that no political party, regardless of ideology, will ever think it is a good idea
I was trying to figure it out right now.
to take away some of these foundational elements. That doesn't mean we don't have lots of debates over conservatives who want to privatize healthcare, for example.
Do you guys have an Elon Musk figure in Canada that could lead that up? Like some eccentric business leader? Do you guys have any of those?
Healthcare is one of the pillars we all understand.
It has to be someone funny, like someone like almost autistic, you know?
And there's still political debates on it, and there will still
Like
be
Elon,
political
exactly,
debates on
Elon.
it. But having families know and
that's like a weird cycle, right? It happens here too. You get on like government help, and then it's so easy that you need more, you want more, life gets more expensive, you rely more on the government. But when in reality, the real solution is if everyone was taking care of themselves, there would really not be a need for government, right? Or at least government welfare. So yeah, I agree. That's why Trump is cutting down on the federal government too, because it's like instead of the bloated government where taxpayers pay their salaries, some of them suck, don't deserve jobs, but there's some talented ones, and they could raise our GDP if they were just in the private sector, and just the amount of money it would save alone is a benefit. We have Mark Carney. That's not a good answer. We have Mark Carney. Dude, he's barely Canadian though. He has like 16 passports. And he doesn't even reside in Canada usually. Imagine Trump attacking the peacekeepers. Who's the peacekeepers?
able to rely on $10 a day childcare means that particular element of it will be very hard for any future government to turn back, and that is a good thing for Canadians, for families, and for the future of our economy.
Next question.
Premier ministre Valérie Gamage de Radio-Canada. Hier, l'administration Trump a annoncé quand même un sursis de 30 jours pour les constructeurs automobiles. Il y a d'autres sursis dans l'air. Qu'est-ce que ça vous dit de voir que Donald Trump met déjà de l'eau dans son vin?
Mais, ce qu'on dit depuis des semaines,
Boulangerie,
c'est que des tarifs américains sur des produits canadiens
américains,
et pas mettre extrêmement négatif, même s'ils aiment beaucoup.
You know, French does sound kind of cool though. It's like
donc, sont en
it's
train
real
de regarder
suave.
certains impacts.
English sounds like straight normal. French is like you're like dancing. Juju, oui oui je vois Juju. 505.
On est en train d'avoir des lèverons aux Américains. The U.S. administration. But as I've said a number of times, we will not be backing down from our response tariffs until such a time as the unjustified American tariffs on
Again, Justin, you guys have more tariffs on us. So why would Trump remove his tariffs if you don't do anything to your tariffs? You bring down your tariffs, we'll bring down our tariffs.
Canadian goods are lifted.
Canada keeps the
USMA
peace.
signing, everyone called it a win-win.
Canadian citizens are peaceful, but Justin does no.
When you consider
Disagree.
what Donald Trump is going for here,
Different dialect, huh?
how he sees negotiations.
I can see where you're going with that.
You know, this is
je suis the Frenchman. I am from France. My French is better than yours, Canada. I'm assuming it's something like that. We are the real French speakers.
something that I've reflected on a fair bit, because the USMCA, the CUSMA in Canada, was a win-win. And we've seen a win-win-win for Mexico as well. We've seen over the past years, since we signed this landmark modernized trade agreement that Donald Trump led on.
That's what I was saying last video. I'm like, it's kind of funny Trump complains about the trade deal because he's technically the one that negotiated it.
The jobs have been created, economies have grown, we've strengthened our North American competitiveness faced with challenges from around the world. It has been really good for all three
We
of our
have
countries.
to. We have to watch him. We have to watch him. I still didn't get to the part where he cried. I think I missed it. It might have been clickbait, actually.
We do see, however, that President Trump's approach has consistently been America first. And
Why are we here,
the big
Mommy?
argument that we have to continue to make is that
How does Justin
America
not laugh
first
at that? That was
happens
so funny.
best.
I gotta hear that again.
America we have to continue to make is that
Did I go?
America first happens best when Canadians and Mexicans are prospering as well.
Are you serious? I knew you guys are gonna disagree, but the argument he just made is Americans' life are best only if Canada and Mexico are prospering. The fuck? Who are you, bro? Take care of your country.
That a win-lose between us would actually be worse for them than
How?
a
How? If it's a win-lose and we win and they lose, how is it worse for us than you when you're losing? Oh, this is making me angry. What the hell is this guy saying?
win.
Have you guys ever watched The Office? This is when Michael Scott has his binder. He's like, we can go one of three ways with this: win, lose, win, win, or win, win, win. Which one would you like to proceed with?
That's true in international trade, in relations between nation states.
Okay, answer me this, Justin. So, how is it win, win, win for America if Canada charges us more tariffs than America charges them? How is that win, 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 Justin?
It is not true in real estate deals. That a win.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, even if you didn't hear anything, right? Like, you guys could hate Trump. I get it. Like, it's like me not liking Justin, right? It's not the leader of my country. We have different different relationship to different leaders, right? Trump is my leader now. That's my guy, right? So it's like, I see how Trump's acting. Trump's like, yeah, we'll throw tariffs. We'll throw even more tariffs. We'll throw whatever. And then the next day he's like, they did okay. We'll take it off. That's a position of power. And then you see Justin and all these other guys. They're like, they need to remove it. They backstabbed us. This is terrible. We will nuke them. Let's turn off their electricity over tariffs. Over tariffs, right? So just in like optics wise, you can tell who's squirming a bit. Justin.
Probably better for someone who is experienced in business deals than a win-win. But when it comes to countries, win-wins are actually the best outcomes. And that is an argument that we've continued to make many times and that I've personally...
Yeah, Trump is crazy. Trump is crazy. He's wild, boy.
made many times with the president, and there is no better example of that than the extraordinary success we have created, Canadians and Americans together, in the most successful economic partnership in the history of the world.
Je suis Justin.
Il y a une réflexion que la
Je
renégociation
m'appelle
de l'alliance
Drama
qu'on a faite
Teacher.
ensemble il y a 6 ans et
Does he say anything else? Yeah, yeah.
et effectivement garde aussi bon particularité d'échange commercial qui n'est peut-être pas aussi évidente dans le monde des affaires.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. It's the money. It's the money. Whose money got him elected? That's the only gripe I have with him right now. But I'm letting it play out because in some ways I feel like it might be negotiations, but I don't like what's happening there. I think that's what you're referring to, Brenda.
Alors, ça fait plusieurs années que les conversations avec nos amis américains sont ancrées dans le fait que le meilleur gagnant pour les États-Unis, c'est quelque chose qui est aussi gagnant et pour le Canada et pour le Mexique, qui va nous permettre d'être plus résilients et compétitifs face à...
Against these tariffs. You concerned that will be tested and that we won't see that unity as firm with premiers in energy-producing provinces like Danielle Smith or Scott Moe?
I think, first of all, any carve-outs that support any workers in Canada, even if it's just one industry or another, are going to be a good thing. To see lessening impacts of these tariffs
Bye,
is
Brenda.
certainly something that I think is of concern, and it's a good thing for people on both sides of the border. But as I've said repeatedly, Canadians are in this together. And if some industries don't have the same kinds of pressure, we're going to be leaning on all Canadians to be there for certain industries that are facing a little more pressure. We need to make sure, more than just about anything else, that Canadians...
In the UAE? Why is the UAE attacking? Oh. UAE doesn't like Pierre? I think because he's Israel supporting, no? I think he's like kind of Trump in that way.
Remain united.
I think so.
Across provinces and regions, across industries and sectors, that we all understand we're in this together. And if someone gets an exemption or someone manages to hold through, well, that's great, because money that we might have spent on supporting them can be spent better on supporting people who are still being hit by this. So we will be open to any exemptions and exceptions, but we also will reemphasize we are in a trade war with the United States that they launched unjustifiably. We're going to continue.
He always has to put the unjustifiably
to be strong and resolute in our response, and we will continue to be there for each other, because the unity that Canadians...
Yeah. The more oil you sell, the more money for Canada, right? So that just seems like kind of obvious. I'm actually surprised people disagree with that in Canada. I guess it's like America. You got to protect the environment, right? Having money doesn't matter. It's all about the environment.
Our feeling right now is actually...
You could be living in a box if the entire population was living in a box, but some random news station scientist said, guess what, guys? We measured the air. We're doing great on the global warming stuff. Good job. They'd be like, yeah, we got to keep living in boxes so we can take care of the environment.
The most important thing in being able to stand up against a trading partner that is much bigger than us, but is facing real internal debates and divisions on the impacts of these unjustified tariffs, particularly on Canada.
Mia Radson from the Canadian Press. Secretary Lutnick has just said that President Trump is going to, or likely to, decide today to exempt all USMCA compliant trade from the tariffs until April 2nd, not just autos as reported.
Of course Justin disagrees. That's why Justin sucks. Good thing we only have 7 minutes of this left.
Yesterday. What's your take on that? Does that kind of have any impact on Canada's response?
Who censors your news? CBC and all that? Like the mainstream media? Or you mean like social media? Yeah, that is true though. You know how in America, like Twitter was censoring people and Facebook? But that's just because Twitter those social media companies are American, right? So if in Canada they wanted to censor something, how would they censor you guys?
That aligns with some of the conversations that we have been having with administration officials, but I'm going to wait for an official agreement to talk about Canadian response.
You guys, so you don't have any, like, you know how we have like CNN, whatever, Fox? Fox is usually on the other side. You guys don't have like opposing views? Or is it just one big conglomerate of news station that regurgitates the same thing?
Or and look at the details.
I've been watching like European news too. I forgot what the channel name is, but they're kind of like that. They're too. Germany, EU. I think they have a lot more like state media in a way. It's not slanted one way or the other. It's just one big thing together.
But it is a promising sign. But I will highlight that it means that the tariffs remain in place. And therefore, our response will remain in place. Okay.
Has Justin mentioned if Trump puts another, because he said Trump had said he would increase our tariffs on Canada by the like amount. Has Justin stated if he would counter again? The only thing I know about Justin's tariff is it's two-phased. First phase was like on $30 billion of goods, and then the next one is like $100 billion or something.
Écoutez, ce que j'entends, ce que M. Blutnick aurait dit, est aligné avec les conversations qu'on est en train d'avoir.
No French, please, sir.
Pour on n'est quand même pas dans bien des si on arrive, on en arrive là.
But also in Canada, with your expected departure, possibly days away, and
days? Justin's leaving in a couple days. You know what that means, right? That means Trump might start bullying Carney soon.
Ending an election. Are you worried about that having an impact on Canada's ability to continue negotiating with the United States?
Oh, I'm so vital to these negotiations. If I'm not here, Canada is going to fall apart. Bro, I'm sure someone else can do much better negotiating than you.
And are you considering
I would let let's see. I would let Photo Q. I would let you negotiate with Trump over Justin Trudeau negotiating with Trump.
Kind of caretaker role up to and including
absolutely
as a caretaker PM for a bit.
No, I will not be. That I look forward to a transition to my duly elected successor in.
That's good to hear, though. That's good to hear. He admitted it. He's like, listen, I'm gonna
in the coming days or week.
He hasn't yet. What the fuck? I thought he was originally officially resigned.
Will say, however, is regardless of our democratic processes, the fact that Canadians are as united as they are across provincial leadership representing many different parties, across an approach that has Canadians pulling together and being strong on defending Canada and focused on creating the kind of growth and resilience in our economy that we need, I think it'll be fine that there be very clear ideas about who and how.
I wouldn't want to negotiate against Trump. I feel like he would yell at me a lot.
Eventual federal election, whenever it does happen.
Like, you're wrong. You don't have the cards right now, Ryron. You don't have the cards. No playing cards, Trump. I'm serious. No playing cards. You don't have the cards.
For Canadians to decide, how they want to respond best in the coming years, and the unity of Canadians, even if there are political debates going on, the unity of Canadians is the single most powerful tool we have in our negotiations, in our engagement, in our standing up against these unjustified tariffs.
There he goes. Every time he says tariffs, he has to put unjustified. So he can fool you guys to think they're unjustified.
Prime Minister, this will be the last question.
Tonda Charles, Toronto Star. Prime Minister, to yesterday's call and your offer to Trump that you would hold off the bigger package of counter tariffs Canada is planning, if
he's not holding those off for Trump, he's holding those off for the economy.
Allows more exemptions, more carve-outs. I'm wondering why you would compromise in that fashion, given what you've just described as a larger looming threat on April 2nd for the reciprocal tariffs, and we have up to 300% tariffs on U.S. dairy products.
There you go. You guys heard that? Let me rewind.
Tariffs, and we have up to 300%.
300% tariffs. 300% tariffs. So imagine when reciprocal tariffs go into place. You know what? I think I'm starting to think he's trying to burn down the ship. He's putting the counter tariffs. He's going to put the rest of the tariffs, and then he's going to step down and say, it wasn't my fault. Someone else took over. Here, Pierre.
U.S. dairy products in some cases. So how are you going to effectively push back against him if you're prepared to offer a big compromise like that?
I understand how much the media loves to speculate, given on this, that thing that they've heard.
Yeah.
We're in negotiations
Yeah,
right
I would
now.
both
When
get
I have
hurt,
an
but-
announcement to make about how we're going to move forward, we will make it. What I will say is we are in a moment right now where Canada has a very, very strong bargaining position.
What is
because
that?
Canadians are so united and unequivocal.
We have a good... Okay, listen to this. Listen to this businessman. We have good bargaining. We have good leverage. Why? Because our country is united. Are you serious, bro? Are you serious?
Bargaining position because Canadians are very, very strong.
We are in a very,
bargaining
very strong
position
bargaining
because
position.
Canadians are so united.
Because Canadians are so united.
Unequivocal about standing up
And
for our
unequivocal
country,
for standing up.
for our fellow citizens, and being.
So that's what Justin Trudeau thinks gives him leverage in negotiations with Trump. The unity of Canada.
Very, very firm that this is
Great.
an absolutely unjustified and unjustifiable trade war launched by the Americans, and that is what we're going to continue to stay true to.
Your foreign affairs minister yesterday called all of this a psychodrama. How do you characterize it?
Thursday. I've had 10 years. Thursday.
You hear him? You hear his little sniff? He's like... He's laughing at his own joke before everyone else does.
I've had 10 years of Donald Trump.
Oh, this is the cry.
Historic, once-in-a-century pandemic, inflation crisis.
Here we go, he's gonna cry.
War in Ukraine as Russia returns to war in Europe. As
If Trudeau
as the
says
Middle
something,
East,
it must be true
is
because Trudeau
facing
said it.
extraordinarily
You don't
difficult
need the internet, you just need
situations.
Justin Trudeau.
These have been complicated times. This is the job I signed up for. This is the job I will continue to do until the very last moment I'm doing this job. And
It sounds like Kamala Harris.
The very last moment I'm doing this up for. This is the job I will continue. This is the job I signed up for. This is the job I will continue to do until the very last moment I'm doing this job. And it comes with the territory to be steady and strong for Canadians.
You seem to get pretty emotional about it. Leaving it.
This has been the honor of my life serving Canadians.
I know Canadians will eat that shit up, but I don't believe him, dude. He's just such a performer when he speaks. I know he practiced that in the mirror. Like you said, he's a drama teacher. He's like, I just don't trust him. I don't trust it.
Mélanie parle très bien anglais, vous pourriez lui en...
I think that might be the last question.
Facile, Donald Trump pour une première,
That might be the last question.
L'inflation avec la Russie qui a envahi plein d'autres défis qu'on a vus. Ça a été des valeurs canadiennes et le service aux Canadiens.
Alright, the only good thing I got out of all this is that Justin Trudeau is ready to step down, and he's actually going to step down. Everything else was just like political talk to rile up the base, make it sound we're all good with Trump. He said Trump yelled at him a little. That's pretty much it. Nothing major, but thank you guys for stopping by. Liberals. Well, thanks for stopping by. Like and sub. We'll be back with more shenanigans. Bye.